There once stood an old elm tree, older than anyone could remember. A farmer tied his bull to that tree with an iron chain. It was a strong, restless bull. Day after day, it circled the tree, pulling and straining the metal of the chain, biting deeper into the bark. Over time, the chain left its mark, a deep scar, an engraved circle in the bark of the tree, like a trench. Welcome to Storytellers and Alchemists, where we re enchant the world one story at a time. I'm Amira, and today our story is about this old elm tree and why I call its scar sacred. When the farmer sold his land, he cut the chain and took his bull away, leaving the part of the chain tied around the trunk in this engraved deep trench, with only one dangling loop. A new farmer moved in with his young grandson. The boy loved the strange tree with its mysterious scar and the lovely dangling loop. He would sit for hours under its shade, reading, singing, whispering secrets to the trunk, and perhaps in that tender companionship, the tree began to listen. Seasons passed, and quietly, without anyone noticing, the tree began to heal. New cells gathered at the edge of its wound, slowly replacing its injured bark and weaving what had been torn. With time, the wound closed. The chain disappeared beneath the new bark, leaving only one dangling iron loop, maybe a gentle reminder of the story of the tree. This was back in the 60s, when suddenly an unexpected elm fungus swept through all of North America, infecting all the elm trees. One by one, the trees succumbed and fell. No elm could escape the deadly fungus. There was nothing to be done. Yet, our elm didn't seem to notice. It stood still, alive, whole, and unaffected. It took years for the elm epidemic to pass. All elm trees in the area died except for our old friend. It stood there, firm and strong. Plant pathologists and botanists came from all over the country to study the tree. How could it survive and why? No one really knew. Was it, as biologists theorized, the iron absorbed from the old rusty chain that boosted its immunity and gave it the power to fight the fungus? Or was it the boy's love? We can't really know. But what we know for sure is that the same scar that everyone thought would kill the tree was the reason for its survival. It was the reason the boy fell in love with the tree in the first place, and it was the reason the iron seeped into its cell, imparting strength and resilience. This is the story of the elm tree, and in a way, it is also the story of every deep and painful wound that is mysteriously working beneath the surface, not only to heal and mend, but also to impart strength and resilience. There are two main lessons I learned from this story. First one is that our scars can be sacred if we only allow them. Every life bears its scars, marks of what we have endured, lost, or carried too long. They are not signs of weakness, but of life continuing, of the body and the soul finding their way back to wholeness. The elm's wound was once a place of pain, the bark torn, the chain embedded, the sap struggling to flow, but that very wound became the doorway through which strength entered. Healing did not mean returning to what once was. It meant becoming something wiser, deeper, more alive. To honor the scar is to honor the sacred work of the divine, the mysterious alchemy that turns injury into wisdom, loss into depth, and pain into strength. Rumi teaches us that the wound is the place where the light enters you. And we have the same wisdom in this Japanese tradition. When a cherished bowl is broken, it is not thrown away, it is mended with veins of gold. What once was cracked now shines more beautiful. It is called the art of kintsugi. The second thing I learned from the story is that healing is a mystery. When scientists came to study the old elm, they found the answer they could name iron. Iron has seeped from the chain into the tree, strengthening its cells, making it resilient to the disease that killed the other trees. But perhaps there was another kind of nourishment at work, something science cannot measure. Perhaps what the instruments called iron, the heart, can call love. For years, the boy sat beneath that tree, reading, singing, whispering his young hope into its roots. Maybe the tree felt that. Maybe in some invisible way, love became the medicine. There are many kinds of nourishment. Some come through soil and rain or iron chain, others through presence, care, attention. Healing, then, is a mystery. It is not about fixing or forcing, but about allowing the quiet work of grace to turn rust into resilience and hurt into healing. Modern medicine is beginning to rediscover something our grandparents always seemed to know, that we do not heal through chemistry alone. Physicians such as Dr. Dean Ornish have shown that love, supportive relationships, and sense of belonging influence measurable biological process from stress hormone to inflammation markers. In other words, the quality of our relationship with others, with ourselves, with life itself, can influence our body's capacity to repair and restore itself. And Dr. Rachel Naomi Raymond, after decades of caring for people with serious illness, often reminded her students that we may not always be able to cure, but we can always offer presence. And sometimes presence becomes part of the medicine itself. When we approach our bodies as problems to conquer, they often become battlegrounds, and this increases our stress hormone and even our inflammation. But when we pause, listen to the body whispers, and approach our bodies with curiosity, compassion, and patient attention, something often begins to shift. Our scars are not always damaged tissue. Many scars cannot be seen at all. They are not in our physical body. Maybe they are in our emotional or mental or spiritual health. They might simply be the story our body continues to carry. Sometimes they whisper fear, sometimes grief, sometimes exhaustion. And sometimes, if we listen long enough, they begin to whisper resilience. Perhaps this is what the old elm teaches us. Healing is not always the disappearance of wound. Sometimes healing is a transformation of our relationship with this wound. The scar may remain, but not as evidence of what broke us, but as a testimony to what helped us become whole. Perhaps somewhere in a quiet field, that old elm tree is still standing. Its scar is no longer a wound. It has become part of its strength. Perhaps ours can too. Until we meet again, may the stories you encounter guide you back to the quiet wisdom within. Thank you.